What's up, guys? It is Collinmgray here, the Swole Nurse, back at it with another video, and today is December 28th, the day that I start my cut. Or is it? Unfortunately, I'm not going to actually be starting my cut today. My coach and I both decided that it wasn't going to be optimal for my training. I'm supposed to peak in my bench, squat, and deadlift numbers for a max attempt here in 2 weeks. And cutting back my calories at this time is just not going to be optimal at all for strength. So bodybuilding is going to take a little bit of hit, and powerlifting is going to take a notch above this time around. But in 2 weeks, I will be starting my cut. I don't want you to worry. I'm still going to stick true to that. All my supplementation is lined up, and everything else is ready to go. So I'm going to roll through some deadlift footage. Today is week 9 of high rep deadlifts, and I switched my stance to a sumo squat. So it was a little rough and a little heavy to start switching my stance now and a little late in the game, but I think it's going to be better for overall glute and hamstring development and hopefully carry over into my squat as well. So let's roll into some deadlift footage right now.
Okay guys, so I always like to start off every workout with a little bit of stretching and a little bit of mobility stuff. So I always usually start out my main lift with just the bar, just to make sure I can really get deep and down into the movement and loosen up the joints and kind of just get ready and prepare my mind to get ready to pull the weight or push the weight or squat the weight, whatever it may be. So we hit up about 10 reps here with just the bar, and followed that up with just a single plate. Now, this is my real first routine doing a sumo deadlift. I've been lifting conventional for the last 30 weeks, and my coach said it was probably about time that I switch over to sumo, just because it's going to help me in the long run overall strength, and sumo always normally carries into a conventional deadlift, whereas the deadlift conventional does not carry into sumo. So we rolled into 185 here, and we hit this, I believe it was for 5 reps. And it wasn't really any very heavy. I don't even think I had my belt latched this time. But I just wanted to make sure that I concentrate on my form before everything else. And 2 plates is where it kind of started to, really started to notice the difference in the movements for sure. But overall it was okay. So in all reality, I probably picked the worst possible time to switch over to sumo, because I really wasn't prepared. Today is a high rep, but it's the heaviest high rep in the whole program, and you can see here that it the weight stuck to the floor. I wasn't really prepared for it, so I had to reset. We're working with 280 pounds here, and we were pulling for 3 sets of 5 reps. So the first 5, by about rep 3, I really kind of started to struggle mentally, but I had my coach there in the background yelling at me, telling me to go ahead and pull. My grip was slipping, but I managed to get all 5 reps pretty clean. And then we rolled into our second set, but you can see, there's my coach goofing around back there, but you can see there's an extra 10-pound plate on the side. He didn't take that off. So I went to go pull it, and it was super, super heavy, and I had to step back and take a look, and I was like, man, I can't get it. And then I look over here, and oh, hey, yeah, by the way, David, you forgot to take that extra plate off of there. So we had to pull the weights off and put the collars back on and start again, which really isn't good for my mentality. You know, once you start pulling a weight, if you can't get it off the floor, your mental aspect is pretty much gone. So I had to step back for a second and really focus to pull these next 5 reps here. See, harder off the floor, form kind of sacrificed a little bit. My grip started slipping, and my mental game was just way off. My back wasn't tight. He had to yell at me through the whole sets, and I ended up only getting 3 reps. So I took a second and I really made sure to try to focus, concentrate on my form, my grip, and my breathing, and I could only get it for 4 reps, but the range for all of these working sets were 3 to 5, so I stayed in range. I still pulled my weight, so overall it was, it was successful. So from this point here, we went ahead and moved over into some block pulls for 295 pounds for 2 sets of 1 to 2 reps, but overall the weight felt pretty heavy. I really got to start, really concentrated on my form. The sumo is going to take some time to get used to, so I was still able to pull for singles, so I went ahead and did that just to conserve my energy for the deficit deadlifts that I had coming up, because I've always really struggled with deficit deadlifts. I'm sure everybody does. They're really kind of a pain. So here I am setting up for 2 sets of 3 to 5 reps with a 2-inch deficit deadlift. And I go to attempt this first pull here, and it was unsuccessful. It was just so heavy. I pulled for 1 rep, and I did get the weight up off the floor, but there was no way that I was going to carry on over to 3 or 5 weights. I started getting pretty frustrated with myself, just because I did feel so weak. So I took the weight off, I stripped it down, and refocused just to make sure that I could get my reps in. We dropped it down to 2 plates, and from this point on I was pretty successful with the rest of my pulls. You guys got to remember that powerlifting is not an easy sport in any sense of the word. There's a lot of different avenues that go into this sport. The mental game alone sometimes can cause you to quit. Oftentimes, right after a set, I look over at my coach and I say, what are we doing this for? It just seems so stupid to sit here and lift all this heavy weight for no reason. But I reset, and I ended up pulling at the lower end of the range and getting 3 reps on both of these sets. So the second set ended up going a lot better than the first. All of the reps were cleaner, they were faster. Mentally I was more prepared for them, and the weight just felt a little bit easier. I haven't decided if I'm going to switch back to conventional for my max attempt lift next week, or just go ahead and keep it at sumo and see where I set out with that. It really doesn't matter. I just hit a deadlift PR about 10 weeks ago, so as far as progress is concerned, I'm still right there. I haven't really stalled back any. I've actually hit quite a few PRs in the past few weeks, thanks to supplementation and proper training. But so we'll see what happens with that. We went ahead and we moved into some good mornings. Now, my form isn't the best on these. For whatever reason, my lower back is kind of a lagging point for me. The new belt definitely helped quite a bit. We have 95 pounds here on the bar, so it's not really that heavy by any means. I feel like we can definitely start pushing up the weight a little bit higher in these good mornings. So as you can see here, going into the next set, it all just felt really kind of laxed, kind of easy. So I started kind of just playing around with the weight and the depth, and I definitely think that the belt really attributes a whole hell of a lot to this. The belt that I was using previously was a Harbinger or Harbinger, however you say that brand name, but it was a really crappy belt, and I got this new belt for Christmas, and it is a lever belt, and it definitely helps 1,000%. The difference in belts, I just can't even begin to tell you. It completely amazes me. Second set went well, and you see here, I try to play without my hands here. I'm not, by any means that good yet, but we're getting there, guys. We're getting there for sure. Third set in, everything's still going. At this point, I'm pretty tired. I really am starting to get fatigued at the end of this routine. Deadlifts always take the most out for me. I don't know why. Deadlifts always just kill me. Even the next 3 days after, deadlifts usually take out more for me total body than squats do by far. I don't think it's because the back for me is lacking over my legs, but definitely I think it's because that deadlifts is just really a total body movement. So it's really drained. I usually end up taking a nap sometimes in the afternoon after deadlift days just because I'm so drained from the routine. Rolling on over into some wide lat pull downs. I always love lat pull downs, but I can't, or I haven't reached the point of using really, really heavy weight, but I still love the movement as a whole. I feel really strong when I do it. I normally go as wide as I possibly can. Here we're rolling 110 pounds for 3 sets of 10 reps, and I'm really excited when we start moving into this new gym here in the next couple weeks or so. We're going to have a lot more variation to the lat pull down. We'll have a couple different bars that we're going to be able to use, a couple different grips. I know he's got some grenade grips that we might be able to really rock some lat pull downs with, so I'm pretty excited about that. Shrugs, and more shrugs. 4 sets. I believe I only filmed 3 sets of them, but shrugs I've always loved. My form on shrugs, I try to keep it as tight as possible. I try not to swing around too much, so I make sure that I lighten the weight enough that gives me a full contraction without swinging the weights around. Really concentrate on retracting my shoulder blades while I'm doing that shrugging movement. So we hit 185 pounds for 4 sets of 10, and really felt good. Make sure we get a nice stretch in there and really concentrate on the contraction of the movement. Shrugs are a hypertrophy base. They really do help a lot with strength as well, especially in the lockout. However, with shrugs, you really want to go ahead and focus on the movement itself. Heavy weight is good, but if you can't control that heavy weight, it really doesn't mean anything for you.
Alright guys, so that marks the end of today's deadlift session. Just wanted to share with you guys also, I got a pair of Chuck Taylors while I was out yesterday, and I really did feel a complete difference in my deadlift with them, just being really flat to the ground. I had some trouble with my other shoes where my toes were kind of falling over the side of the sole just because they were so old and loose fitting, and I did not feel that at all. No slipping, very strong off the floor, and all the weight felt solid. However, the bars inside of this gym, if you can see here, are really eating up my hands pretty good. It's not the knurling, it's the fact that there's a lack of it. My hands are slipping a lot. So even with straps, man, the pads in my hands get really, really sore after these deadlifts. But fortunately for us, we were told that January 6th or somewhere around there, the new gym should be ready. It's completely set up for powerlifting, and we should be getting some awesome training footage in there. It's going to be a completely different feel, completely different set of equipment, so I got a lot of cool things coming up for you guys. But once again, this is Colin G, the Swole Nurse. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow those social media links down below, and I will catch you later in another video. Peace.